Winning your fantasy matchup can be difficult, but it doesn't have to be. These are 7 running backs with major upside that will help you win your Week 8 matchup. And let's begin with the second-year player out of Jacksonville, Travis Etienne, who is set to explode. You see, this past week in Week 7 against the Giants, he played by far a season-high 82% of the snaps, 30% more than he's ever played in another game. So people were wondering, is there something wrong with James Robinson? Well, nothing was wrong with J-Rob. It just appears that he was on the trade block. And what this elite usage led to for Travis Etienne was his 3rd straight game, very quietly of over 100 yards. Even when he fumbled in the second quarter, they went right back to the dude. He had a great second half. He is set, like I said, to explode. And the main reason why is what we talked about. The Jets ended up trading a 6th-round pick that can turn into a 5th-round pick, according to Adam Schefter, for James Robinson. And this all boils down to his usage that he's seeing is going to continue. And this is great because he's the most productive RB in the league. See for yourself. That's not me being crazy. He is literally the #1 running back in the league per touch. 6.9 yards per touch, nearly 7 yards every time this guy gets the rock. And now he's facing the Broncos, who allow the 7th most receptions to running back. So get Etienne in your lineup every single week. He's a top 10 back the rest of the year. And then we get to Miles Sanders, who's coming off the bye week, and his matchup is absolutely fantastic. The Eagles have the #2 run blocking matchup and advantage according to Pro Football Focus here, positive 26%. That means 26% more than the NFL average against the Steelers this week. So the matchup is great, and very quietly, Sanders' usage is elite. Check it out. This dude is earning 70% of the Eagles running back opportunities, the targets, receptions, and the carries this year. And he's 7th in red zone usage, 18 red zone carries so far, gives him some upside. Even though Jalen Hurts is back there, he's still getting his own usage as well. And this strong usage isn't going to stop anytime soon because Philadelphia ranks #1 in run plays per game. So yeah, their lead back is going to benefit from that, as he has been this season, generating over 19 opportunities per game, top 10 in carries, even though he was on bye last week. And even before the bye, he saw a season high in passing game usage. So he's a must start, and so is his division rival. You see, we talked about Tony Pollard earlier this week as a player to buy low on, but for this specific week, you can start both of those dudes, Pollard and his backfield mate, the veteran Ezekiel Elliott, because Zeke and the Cowboys will be facing the Bears, who rank 29th in run defense this year, and this is massive news, especially given what Zeke is doing this year on the ground. Now, by no means is Zeke lighting it up on the ground, but he's just getting the usage. He's getting the usage behind a good offensive line now in a fantastic matchup. It's hard to ignore. Right now, he's seeing over 16 touches per game, and he is borderline top 5 in carries per game. That means something, especially in the red zone. And the game environment looks great. So what is the game environment? It means how many points are projected to be scored in this game by Vegas, and what is the spread of the game? Well, the Cowboys are projected to score about 4 touchdowns in this game, and they're 9-point favorites. Historically speaking, when you're more than a 5-point favorite as a running back, it means good things. And let's look at what it means for Zeke. In 18 career games as a 7-point favorite or more, Ezekiel Elliott averages 19.4 fantasy points and over 18 touches per game. Now, of course, this takes into account when he was more in his prime, but it's also factoring in games from last year and this year where he's seen good usage. Now, it would be ignorant to not talk about the major concern happening right now with Zeke, and that's his passing game usage. You see, Zeke is only averaging 1.1 targets per game, by far a career low. Only 8 targets so far this season through 7 games isn't good, and he's only running 12.6 routes per game. We like to see this number usually, like it has been in the past for him, near 20. And his backfield running mate, Tony Pollard, is actually seeing more targets, 2.6 targets per game compared to those 1.1 for Zeke. But here's the thing. The Cowboys haven't been throwing all that much this year, including last week when they were blowing out the Lions. And as 9-point favorites in this one, expect more carries for Zeke, especially in the second half. So you can start both of those backs, Tony Pollard and Zeke, in this great matchup. And then you also want to look at this AFC RB. And that would be Ramondre Stevenson, who ended up answering the question, what happens when Damian Harris returns? You see, Stevenson was seeing great usage and producing in fantasy without Harris. So what did he do when Harris returned? Well, he played a commanding 73% of the snaps, but that's not all. He totaled almost 100 yards, finds the end zone, and has 8 receptions in this game from 2 different quarterbacks he sees targets. This was a great game. Here, 19 total touches compared to just 4 for Harris in this one, but that's not all. You see, according to Pro Football Focus, he played 100%, 9 out of 9 of the clear passing down snaps on 3rd down and long and 2-minute drill offense, and he saw the only goal line usage in this game. Now, that passing game usage led to him catching all 8 of his targets, making him a cheat code player in this one, getting the red zone usage and the passing game usage. And now Stevenson takes on the Jets, who rank 18th in tackling this year, so bottom half of the league. And this matters because Stevenson, #3 at breaking tackles this year, and he has a top 5 elusive running back. Now, there's a chance that Harris is still working his way back from this hamstring injury. He kind of returned pretty quick, but he wasn't on the injury report to end the week, so maybe he starts to see some more usage. But if you're producing for the Patriots and Bill Belichick, he will keep you out there, especially when you're as versatile and dominant as Ramondre Stevenson. So start him and this veteran. And that is going to be Devin Singletary, who is returning off of the bye week this week, and he has a fantastic slam dunk, beautiful matchup against the Green Bay Packers, who rank 26th in run defense this season. And the Packers allow the 2nd most rushing yards to the RB position. position. And there's more good news. Singletary before the bye week earned 88% of the snaps, a season high against the Kansas City Chiefs, totaling 107 yards on 21 touches. This is great usage. And the Bills this week on Sunday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers in primetime at home are 11-point favorites, and here's why this matters so much. As a favorite since 2021, beginning of last year when he started to actually see more usage in this Bills backfield, he has averaged 15.2 fantasy points per game. The easy translation there is that amount of fantasy points makes him a borderline top 10 running back this week. So you should start him and this next RB. And it's another veteran running back, Raheem Mostert, who has been absolutely fantastic. And now if we look at his snap share, week 1, he doesn't really see a lot of snaps. Edmonds is seeing volume. Since then, he's led the backfield in snaps, and now for 5 straight weeks, 60%, 73, 69, 64, and 70%, borderline a season high last week, 5 straight weeks over 60% of the snaps. All this means he's by far the clear running back 1 in Miami, and that's kind of what he signed up for here with Mike McDaniel in the offseason. He said, I only signed here because McDaniel is here, and he has a great week 8 matchup. You see, he'll take on the Detroit Lions, who ranked 23rd in run defense and allowed the 5th most fantasy points to the running back position. Welcome in, walk on down, Raheem Mostert. But there's more great news. The Dolphins are projected for 27 points this week, the 2nd most on the slate, and they're 3-point favorites. And in 9 career games for Mostert, under similar situations as a starter, he averages 15.7 fantasy points per contest. That is basically top 8 fantasy usage. So don't be concerned about any running backs in this backfield. This guy is fantastic, and he still has the juice. If you watch film, if you're watching these plays afterwards on all 22, he is flying out there. And hey, if you're enjoying this content, be sure to subscribe for more. So play him and this dominant rookie running back. Welcome to the party, Kenneth Walker, who we talked about in our secret email newsletter that I send out my top 5 findings on the week. You can get it for free down below in the description. We talked about him. He was one of the secrets last week, how good of a matchup he has, why his over and his props were so fantastic. He easily hit all that for us. You see, Kenneth Walker has clearly arrived, finishing as the RB3 and RB8 in the past 2 weeks, averaging 23 touches per game over that time. The Seattle offense is actually good, which helps him even more, but check out just how good Walker has been. Since becoming the starter in week 6, he ranks 1st in broken tackles amongst all RBs, with more than 5 more than any other guy. And he ranks 1st in rushing yards so far through 2 weeks, and 2nd behind only Saquon Barkley in RB usage. This dude is legit easy top 10 running back the rest of the year. It's just now a matter of a question, can he finish top 5? And now, believe it or not, all that stuff I just told you, yeah, it gets even better. This is a tweet from Dwayne McFarland. You can follow him on Twitter, I believe, at Dwayne McFarland. But look at the last point here. He talks about Kenneth Walker's usage in the last game. He played 100% of the 2-minute drill offense. This leads to more targets. It shows that they have trust in Kenneth Walker, ultimate trust in him, and he ran the most routes of the season. This is going beautiful for Kenneth Walker. So he's a must. And I know this video is about running backs, but do you mind if I share a couple of wide receivers with you? Because these dudes are primed to go off this week, starting with Chris Olave, who has major upside. You see, he ranks 1st this year in deep targets with 18 deep targets, 3 per game, even though, this is the crazy part, even though he's missed 1.5 games this year. And let's discuss just how good he's been when he's actually in there and healthy in his 4 completed games. He's averaging 11.8 targets and 17.3 fantasy points in those 4 completed games. Absolutely crazy. Now, this basically means he's a borderline top 10 fantasy producer already as a rookie, and now he has a great matchup against the Raiders, who rank 26th in coverage. And more specifically in that matchup, he'll see all 3 cornerbacks. That's usually what happens in these matchups. They move Olave around the field, but he'll see a lot of the veteran Rock Ya-Sin. And Rock Ya-Sin is not the fastest cornerback. He runs a 4.5 when Olave runs in the 4.3. So a massive speed advantage for downfield usage that he's seen all year long. Expect even more this week against the Raiders. So play Olave and then this next veteran. And it's going to be Kenneth Walker's teammate Tyler Lockett, who has an elite matchup this week against the New York Giants, who rank 29th in coverage. And this is massive for Lockett because, oh man, he is feasting on man coverage this year, to the tune of ranking 10th overall amongst every receiver in the league at earning fantasy points per target versus man coverage. He is dominant versus man coverage, and the Giants stink at man coverage. And you see, DK Metcalf is probably going to miss this week. Luckily and thankfully, he avoided a serious knee injury, but likely going to miss some time, which means there's a good chance that Tyler Lockett is prioritizing this offense. Now, it doesn't mean he's going to see 15 targets, but he's already averaging 7.6 targets per game, and they're probably going to key in on using him, the main receiver that they can trust, a little more here. No, yeah, not to mention he's dominating that man coverage. The Giants stink at man coverage, and he's seeing top 10 deep targets. So expect a big play in this game from Lockett. According to Pro Football Focus, he has a top 10 matchup on the week week, you want to play him to win your league, and you also want to acquire my fantasy cheat sheet to win your league. You see, the cheat sheet is a 5-step system to help you beat your league mates, your friends, beat them down bad, and win your fantasy league. The cheat sheet provides tools that are sent to you via email. It is a one-time payment of $10 for the entire year, but if you don't win your fantasy league, this is important. Listen up. If you don't win your league, I'll refund that payment of $10. It's absolutely risk-free. You don't win your league, this material is free. So if you want to join the thousands of other people using this material to beat their friends right on now, we'll click the link in the description to get you a cheat sheet. Now, perhaps my favorite play on the entire week is going to be AJ Brown, who, according to Pro Football Focus, has the #1 matchup across every single wide receiver. All the teams playing this week, all the wide receivers out there, AJ Brown, the #1 matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who currently rank 21st in coverage. But it gets even juicier when you look at the specific one-on-one matchups that Brown will face in this game. When he's in the slot, he'll have a massive size advantage over Arthur Mallett, who ranks 84th out of 110 cornerbacks in coverage. He'll then go on the outside for about 40 or 50% of this game and face Levi Wallace, the former Buffalo Bill, who ranks 98th out of 110 cornerbacks in coverage. These are fantastic spots for the monster size, speed specimen in AJ Brown. So the Steelers aren't great at coverage, and AJ Brown ranks 2nd in the entire NFL at beating coverage. Oh yeah, this is going to be good news. He's the #4 wide receiver in efficiency this year, which is leading to 8.8 targets per game. He's being targeted on 1 out of every 3 routes he runs, which is unreal. So play AJ Brown because he has major upside this week, along with the other players we talked about in this video. And if you actually want to roster some more league winners, you're going to have to trade for them. And this video right here will help you do exactly that. So be sure to check it out, because I bet your friends, your league mates, they won't.